Day number 3, video 1 of clearing, preparing the farmlands in the jungles. Woo, making good progress. And, I do bring up the temperature every time because it makes me seem hardcore. But there's a nice breeze. It's basically like being on the beach, minus the water and the Coca Locos and Pina Coladas, and instead of snorkeling in the reef and swimming and playing and I'm burning spiky thorns that super noxious plant. But nonetheless, I've committed to a series through this farmland clearing on bad habits and clearing bad habits. And so I'm continuing on this series today. Oh, it looks like my neighbors are burning through the woods there too. The fire is going. I don't know if you can't really see it. The next farmland over, they're doing the same thing, clearing their farm for cow season, since it's baby calf season, so they're separating the cows now. And the cows need more food as they nurse the babies. So what is today's message? So to recap, these trees are like bad habits. 2 years ago, they didn't exist. And within 2 years, it just completely made this property unproductive. From lush garden or lush grass that was feeding cows to completely inhospitable. And that's kind of like how bad habits are, right? You start them and it's like, it's not that bad. And whether it's like drinking, high alcohol beer that, a good amount of calories, then you realize you get a little more softness around the midsection than you used to. I used to brew beer, and I realized that I could either be someone who brews beers, and I liked, imperial stouts, double IPAs, or I can be skinny. And so I chose being skinny because drinking 600 calorie beers multiple times a day, every day, adds up. It's a bad habit that leads to my body not being able to produce the same degree that I want it to be able to, and have a high level of energy in order to do the things I want to do. In essence, that's what bad habits do. And they're not really bad habits until they're taking a negative effect on our productivity, aren't they? And so today's tip, today's little habit factoid is when you've identified a problem that you no longer want to have. There's a couple outcomes. There's a couple strategies that are popular. Number one is to have become a completely victim to the habit, and a common socially acceptable way to do this is like, I just need some treatment. I mean, like, I have a friend that went to recovery for porn addiction. It was like $14,000 a month off of work. It's like, just do something else instead of staring at your phone all day. I just can't put it down. Like, are you kidding me, man? So another friend is like fully functional, but he drank a little bit too much, and again went to rehab, spent tons of money, left their family, and it's socially it's almost like celebrated. Like, medicine's done such a good job in their discipleship. It's like, good for you, dude, go into that rehab. But no one that, I don't know the last time I heard someone was just like, yeah, I just had a severe drinking issue and I just stopped because I decided to. Because the reason is because our prefrontal cortex, which is the planner for sequential thinking and higher function, is pretty much inhibited. And in fact, in our addiction centers in our brain are strengthened at a very young age, and they're strengthened with primarily sugar. So sugar, if you want to read a full breadth of research on this topic, go to look up The Least of Us. It's I forget the author, but he researched the meth epidemic and the opioid epidemic, and how, in essence, when you give your kids sugar, you start to program their brain for addiction, which then inhibits their prefrontal cortex. Overactivation of the amygdala, they feel things very intensely, and they can't sequentially plan with their consequences. So If you're struggling with addiction, sorry. A little sugar now and then, a little birthday treat. Actually, your parents trained you to be an addict. So thanks, mom and dad. Way to be trained by corporate America to give our kids processed poisonous food that then turns us into people who struggle with addiction. And then medicine, like makes a ton of money off it and like creates this like culture of like celebrate recovery. Yes. And so if let's say you don't have like the sweet insurance that will pay for you to go have a vacation at a facility where you just can't look at your phone for porn or drink alcohol or do drugs or aka go to jail. Same exact thing. If you don't want to go to jail or yeah, let's just go ahead and say it, you don't want to do those things, those paid rehab or forced rehab, what can you do? Well, today I'm going to talk about it because this is an example of how to start to overtrain the addiction process. Because when you start to create your environment, take control of your environment, you engage the prefrontal cortex, which then revs down the addiction part of the brain in order to then help you break a bad habit. And if it is a physically demanding thing, it's even better. So gardening, working on a house project, even doing the dishes every day for your wife. Guys, I'm talking to you. Then helps with the addiction part of the brain. My friend I attempted to help with this porn addiction was like, no, I have a real problem and I need to go get professional help. And the help that they offered him is the same thing. Don't do the thing that is bad. And usually it's around some like ideology of like, you have this condition and therefore you cannot possibly ever be around that thing because it's an addiction and you got to just abstain. Which may be partially true, but instead, rather than being a victim, if you strengthen the other part of the brain, you then become resilient, or dare I even say it, resistant to that bad habit. But it has to be physically demanding. It has to be something where you're creating. So, for example, making your environment better. And then if it can help somebody else and engage other people in the process, that's like a trifecta. But today I burn alone, so I'm gonna get back at it. My phone was telling me that it was reaching overheating limit, so I don't know how much longer it's gonna last. And what am I gonna talk about next? We'll see what the sun-soaked status of delirium brings out.